December 5, 1941. 4:47 a.m., 18 miles west of Moscow. Obergefreiter Klaus Hartmann stands beside his supply wagon in darkness so complete he can barely see his hands. The temperature is 40 degrees below zero. He can hear the horses breathing, labored, shallow. Wrong. Hartmann commands a supply column for the 232nd Infantry Division. 40 wagons, 240 horses carrying ammunition and winter clothing forward to troops who desperately need both. The column has been stuck here for 3 days. The horses are dying, not from Russian bullets, from the cold. Hartmann walks down the line, checking each team. His breath freezes instantly in the air. Ice crystals form on his eyebrows, his collar, his gloves. First wagon. 4 horses standing, 2 down. The ones on the ground won't get up. They're already dead, frozen in their harnesses. Second wagon. 3 horses trembling violently. That's actually good. It means they're still generating heat. The ones that stop shivering are the ones about to die. Third wagon. 1 horse has fallen and pulled 2 others down with it. They're tangled in the traces, struggling weakly. By dawn, Hartmann counts 36 dead horses. 36 animals that needed to pull 12 wagons carrying 3 tons of ammunition each. 36 tons of shells that now sit immobile while German troops 8 miles ahead run out of bullets. The ground is frozen solid. They can't bury the horses. They drag them into a ditch and leave them. The math is simple and brutal. Each dead horse equals reduced cargo capacity. Each reduction means fewer supplies forward. Fewer supplies means weaker defense. Weaker defense means Russian breakthrough. The entire German war effort grinding to a halt because horses are freezing to death in their traces. That same week, 2,000 miles south in the deserts of North Africa, American GMC trucks roll through the night, headlights blazing, engines roaring. They've been driving for 16 hours straight. They'll drive for 8 more. No sleep required, no fodder, just gasoline. The temperature is 130 degrees in daytime, 60 degrees at night. Doesn't matter. The trucks keep moving. This is the story everyone thinks they know. The Wehrmacht's Blitzkrieg, mechanized warfare, lightning strikes across Europe, Panzers and Stukas and unstoppable momentum. Here's what actually happened. The German army moved on hooves. Not just some of it, most of it. The vast, unglamorous, absolutely critical majority of it. Germany fielded 2.7 million horses during World War II. That's nearly twice the number they used in World War I. The largest cavalry operation in modern military history. And on the other side, 2.4 million American trucks that transformed warfare into an industrial equation. This isn't a story about tactics or courage or even technology. It's a story about hay versus gasoline, flesh versus steel. The 19th century colliding with the 20th, and the cold, mathematical reality that you cannot win an industrial war with agricultural logistics. The newsreels show a different story. Panzers racing across France in 1940, treads churning, engines roaring. The Wehrmacht as a mechanized juggernaut, modern, efficient, unstoppable. Stukas diving from clear skies, sirens screaming, precision bombing. This is Blitzkrieg. This is the face of German military might. What the cameras don't show, the supply columns 20 miles behind the Panzers. Horses, thousands upon thousands of horses, pulling wagons loaded with ammunition, food, medical supplies, spare parts, fuel for the mechanized units. Horses moving at 3 miles per hour. Horses needing 8 hours of rest per day. Horses requiring 43 tons of fodder daily for a single infantry division. The numbers from 1939 are stark. Germany has 102 divisions. Only 14 are fully mechanized or motorized. That's 13%. The German army operates 3 motor transport regiments. Total cargo capacity, 19,500 tons. The rest? Horses and wagons and soldiers on foot. Compare this to 1944 when Allied forces land in Normandy with a motor transport capability of 69,000 tons, more than 3 times what the entire German army had at the war's start. Why horses? Not because Germany wants to use horses, because Germany has no choice. First, resources. Germany lacks iron. Germany lacks oil. You can't build millions of trucks when you don't have the steel or the fuel to run them. Second, industrial capacity. As war breaks out, Germany has the lowest ratio of automobiles to population of any European nation except Italy. German citizens don't own cars. German factories don't make them in quantity. There's no massive civilian auto industry to convert to military production, because that industry barely exists. Third, no conversion system. Even if Germany had the factories, there's no government mechanism to effectively shift civilian vehicle production to military transport. The planning doesn't exist. The infrastructure doesn't exist. So they use horses. Hauptmann Werner Ziegler is a logistics officer with the 16th Infantry Division. His job is to keep 5,200 horses alive and working. Not fight Russians, not command troops, just horses. 5,200 animals, each requiring 12 to 20 pounds of fodder per day. That's 43 tons. Every single day just to feed the horses. Then there's water, 10 gallons per horse per day in summer. 52,000 gallons, daily. Veterinary care, blacksmiths for shoeing, stable sergeants, grooms, teamsters, harness repair. Wagon maintenance. Ziegler keeps a diary. December 1941, he writes, "We don't have a supply problem. We have 5,200 supply problems, each one eating and shitting and dying. Each horse in a German division represents a logistical burden. A truck requires fuel and occasional maintenance. A horse requires constant care, or it dies. And when it dies, the German army loses cargo capacity that takes months to replace. Detroit, Michigan, GMC, Studebaker, International Harvester, REO, America's truck manufacturers, begin receiving military contracts. The design specification: a 6-wheel drive cargo truck capable of carrying 2.5 tons cross-country in any terrain, any weather. They call it the CCKW. Industry designation, not an acronym, just a model code. Everyone else calls it the Deuce and a half. 6-cylinder engine, 91.5 horsepower, top speed, 45 miles per hour on roads, much less off-road, but still faster than any horse. Range 240 miles on a single tank of fuel. Can ford 2.5 feet of water, climb a 60% grade, operate in temperatures from 40 below to 130 above. By 1945, American industry will produce 2.4 million military trucks. Not just Deuces, also Jeeps, DUKWs, wreckers, specialty vehicles, but the Deuce and a half is the workhorse. 2.4 million trucks in 4 years. Germany, over the same period, produces roughly 350,000 military trucks of all types. That's a 7-to-1 production advantage. But the real advantage isn't production. It's sustainability. A truck doesn't starve, doesn't freeze, doesn't panic under artillery fire. Corporal James Mitchell, 22 years old, from Detroit, joins the 666th Quartermaster Truck Company in 1942. He's black. The 666th is an all-black unit, like 73% of American truck companies. The Army segregates its forces, but it needs drivers, and black soldiers end up doing the driving. Mitchell worked at Ford before enlisting, understands engines, respects them. They assign him a GMC CCKW with 47,000 miles on the odometer. He names her Bessie. Back home, Mitchell tells another driver, a truck with 47,000 miles is half dead. Bessie's just getting started. He's right. Bessie will still be running 2 years later with 287,000 miles showing. The mathematics favor trucks over horses in every category. Cargo capacity. A Deuce and a half carries 5,000 pounds. That's the load of roughly 25 horses, and the truck doesn't need to carry fodder for itself. Operating time. Horses need 8 hours rest per day, minimum. Trucks operate 24 hours if you rotate drivers. Speed. Horse-drawn wagon on good roads may be 5 miles per hour. Truck 25 to 35 miles per hour. Range horses 15 to 20 miles per day before exhaustion. Trucks hundreds of miles. Climate tolerance. Horses suffer and die in extreme cold or heat. Trucks operate anywhere with minor modifications. Replacement parts. American trucks use standardized components, interchange easily, mass-produced. German motor pool? Over 150 different vehicle types. No standardization. Every broken truck requires specific parts that may not exist. But the German military still depends primarily on horses because they lack alternatives. And in 1941, that dependence becomes catastrophic. June 22, 1941. Operation Barbarossa. Germany invades the Soviet Union with 3 million men, 600,000 vehicles, and 750,000 horses. The plan: rapid advance. Destroy Soviet armies in encirclement battles. Capture Moscow before winter. The execution: brilliant at first. German forces advanced 600 miles in 6 months. The Panzers reached the suburbs of Moscow. But the supply lines stretched like rubber bands, and the rubber is about to snap. Klaus Hartmann's supply column advances with the 252nd Infantry Division through summer and fall. It's not glamorous, it's not newsreel worthy, but it's essential. Every day, his 40 wagons haul ammunition, food, medical supplies, replacement parts forward. Every night they return with wounded, damaged equipment. Requisition requests. The horses hold up reasonably well through summer and early fall. Temperatures are moderate. Grass is available for grazing to supplement fodder. Roads, such as they are, remain passable. September gives way to October. October gives way to November. The temperature drops, and drops, and drops. By early December, it's 40 below 0 Fahrenheit, 50 below at night. The horses aren't bred for this. German military horses are European draft breeds, strong, reliable in temperate climates, completely unprepared for Russian winter. They don't have winter shoes. The smooth summer horseshoes slip on ice. They don't have adequate stables. Most sleep in the open or in makeshift shelters. They don't have blankets. German logistics planned for human winter clothing, barely enough, but not for horse blankets. The fodder situation becomes critical. Hay shipments can't keep up with demand. Local supplies are exhausted or destroyed. The horses start to starve. November 28, 1941. Hartmann's column camps in an abandoned barn complex, 240 horses pressed together for warmth. They're burning precious fuel trying to heat the space, but it's barely enough. The horses are shivering, violent whole-body tremors. Steam rises from their bodies as their metabolism desperately tries to generate heat. By morning, 6 horses are dead, just dead, frozen in the night. You can shoot a wounded horse, that's mercy. But how do you shoot 200 freezing horses when you need them alive, when German infantry 8 miles ahead are counting on you to bring ammunition? You don't. You watch them die, and you keep moving with whatever survives. The numbers are catastrophic. Fall 1941 through spring 1942, an estimated 179,000 German horses die on the Eastern Front. Not from enemy action, from cold, from starvation, from exhaustion. That's 179,000 units of cargo capacity gone. Replacement horses arrive from Germany, young, untrained, not acclimated to Russian conditions. Many die within weeks. Werner Ziegler, the logistics officer, records the crisis in his diary. December 18th. Lost 47 horses this week. Replacement draft arrives tomorrow. 60 horses, average age 3 years. Most have never pulled a loaded wagon. We have no time to train them properly. They'll learn on the march or die trying. January 3rd, 1942. We are feeding horses to horses, dead animals butchered to provide protein for survivors. This cannot sustain. The German offensive stalls outside Moscow, not because the Wehrmacht lacks courage, not because Soviet resistance is impenetrable, because the logistics collapse. Supply wagons can't keep up, ammunition runs low, food becomes scarce, medical supplies dwindle, and the core problem is simple. The horses are dying. Spring 1942, the snow melts, the roads become rivers of mud. The Russians call it Rasputitsa, the season of bad roads, twice a year, spring and fall, when the ground becomes impassable. Hartmann's column faces a new nightmare. The wagons sink to their axles in mud 3 feet deep. The horses sink to their bellies. Under normal conditions, 4 horses pull 1 loaded wagon. In the mud, it takes 12, sometimes 16. Progress slows to 2 or 3 miles per day. Units at the front go days without resupply. And the horses, already weakened by winter, collapse from exhaustion. Hartmann watches a 6-horse team trying to pull a wagon through a mud hole. The lead horses strain. The wheelers dig in. The wagon doesn't move. They add 4 more horses. The wagon shifts slightly, then settles back. 2 more horses, the team pulls. The wagon lurches forward 6 feet, then stops. One of the lead horses goes down. Just collapses in the traces. The other horses panic, pulling in different directions. By the time they get the fallen horse untangled and out of the way, it's dead. Heart failure, worked to death trying to move 3 tons of ammunition through mud. Werner Ziegler does the mathematics. His division requires 43 tons of fodder per day to feed its horses. Current delivery capacity 12 tons per day. The deficit 31 tons. The horses are starving while trying to pull supplies that include fodder to feed themselves. He writes in his diary, "We need horses to bring fodder to feed the horses to bring the fodder. The equation cannot balance. We are eating our own logistics capacity." By summer 1942, the Wehrmacht has lost over 400,000 horses on the Eastern Front. The army diverts resources from everywhere, even from replacement soldiers, to acquire and ship horses east. Still not enough. The 1942 summer offensive advances, but slower, shorter, with longer pauses. Not because German troops lack will, because logistics can't keep pace. The advance stalls at Stalingrad. The siege begins, and in November 1942 the Soviets counterattack, encircling the German 6th Army. The 6th Army has over 200,000 men and about 50,000 horses trapped in the Stalingrad pocket. The horses are eaten for food within weeks. November 8, 1942, Operation Torch. Allied landings in Morocco and Algeria. The plan: land American and British forces, drive east, trap German and Italian forces in Tunisia between advancing Allies and British 8th Army pushing west from Egypt. The distance from Casablanca to Tunis, 1,028 miles. Everything, every ton of supplies, every gallon of fuel, every replacement part must come from ports and move inland through desert. There are no real roads, no rail network worth mentioning. Just sand and heat and distance. This is where American logistics proves its worth. Or rather, this is where American logistics nearly fails, and then learns. General George Patton makes a critical mistake in the planning phase. Shipping space is limited. Patton has to choose what comes on the initial convoys. He chooses to leave most of the cargo trucks back in New York. Brings jeeps instead. Jeeps take less space. The math seems reasonable. Save shipping capacity for troops and combat equipment. The math is wrong. 1.5 Deuce truck equals 10 Jeeps in cargo capacity. Patton brings Jeeps. The force lands with inadequate cargo transport. For the first weeks after landing, American units are partly paralyzed, not from enemy action, from inability to move supplies inland from ports. But here's where industrial logistics shows its advantage. The problem is fixable, quickly. December 1942, Oran, Algeria. Private Eddie Kowalski, 302nd Ordnance Regiment, stands in a muddy field, looking at 4 wooden crates, each 10,000 pounds. Inside those crates, 2 complete GMC trucks disassembled. This is the twin unit pack system, 2P for short. Americans designed it specifically for this problem. Ship trucks disassembled. 4 crates equal 2 trucks. Saves 59% cargo space compared to shipping assembled vehicles. Then reassemble them in theater. Kowalski is a mechanic from Detroit. Before the war, he worked at a GMC plant. The Army sent him and others like him through specialized training, then shipped them to North Africa specifically for this mission. His job? Build trucks in a field. No concrete floor, no overhead cranes, no factory equipment. Just muddy ground, some hand tools, and 4-ton wreckers to lift the heavy components. First day, 20 trucks assembled. 1 week later, 100 per day. Single-day record at Oran. 143 trucks assembled, tested, and delivered to units. The assembly facility eventually grows to over 1 million square feet. Multiple production lines, parts inventory, testing areas. From crate to combat ready, 8 hours. Compare this to replacing horses, months to acquire, ship, train, and integrate replacements. By early 1943, American logistics in North Africa transforms from barely adequate to overwhelming. The trucks keep coming. Hundreds. Then, thousands. Meanwhile, Axis forces in Tunisia are using captured British trucks, Italian vehicles, horse-drawn wagons, anything that can move supplies. Their motor pool is a nightmare of incompatible parts and dwindling fuel. The American motor pool is a production line of identical, standardized, endlessly repairable vehicles. December 17, 1942, James Mitchell's first combat supply run. Casablanca to forward units near the Tunisian border. 400 miles through desert. Mitchell and 3 other drivers from the 666th Quartermaster Truck Company, each driving a 1.5 Deuce loaded with ammunition. They drive for 72 hours with minimal rest. Sleep in shifts while moving, eat while driving. Bessie, Mitchell's truck, performs flawlessly. No breakdowns, no failures. They deliver 10 tons of ammunition total, then return with wounded soldiers in the empty cargo beds. Mitchell writes to his sister in Detroit, "The Germans have horses that need rest. We have trucks that just need gas. That's the whole war right there." He's not wrong. August 25, 1944. Saint-Lô, France. Allied forces have broken out of Normandy. German armies are in retreat. Now comes the pursuit, and pursuit requires supplies. Mountains of supplies. Moving fast. The problem? Distance. Beaches to front lines, 400 miles and growing daily. The solution? Dedicate a truck route exclusively to supply transport. They call it the Red Ball Express. Railroad terminology. Red Ball means priority freight, highest speed handling. The system? One-way loop. Trucks drive forward loaded with supplies, return empty, reload, repeat. No civilian traffic, no other military vehicles. Just supply trucks on a priority route moving as fast as possible. The numbers: average 899 trucks per day on the Red Ball. Round-trip average 53.4 hours from Paris to front and back. In one 8-day period, 130,000 tons delivered. Fuel consumption by the trucks themselves: 300,000 gallons per day. Truck companies involved: 130, mostly black units. 73% of drivers are black soldiers. The 606th Quartermaster Truck Company, James Mitchell's unit, runs the Red Ball for 81 consecutive days. September 3, 1944. 11:37 p.m. Mitchell drives through darkness, headlights taped for blackout, just dim slits of light, following the faint red glow of taillights ahead. He's been driving for 19 hours, 4 hours sleep yesterday, 3 hours the day before. His eyes drift closed. He jerks awake, slaps his own face. Bessie's odometer shows 163,000 miles. Original engine, 2 transmission replacements, countless tire changes. Still running. The road is cratered from bombing. Mitchell swerves around holes guided by moonlight and instinct. Behind him, 27 more trucks. The convoy moves at 25 miles per hour. Slow by peacetime standards, incredibly fast for wartime supply operations. They reach the forward supply dump at dawn, unload 5,000 pounds each, 70 tons total from this single convoy, then turn around and drive back for more. Mitchell calculates, in 81 days, the 606th has moved over 15,000 tons, just one company. 130 companies doing the same thing. The German logistics system cannot compete with this, cannot even comprehend it. Compare. Red Ball Express, 12,500 tons per day, average. German horse transport capacity on Western Front, maybe 2,000 tons per day and declining. Allied trucks, operating day and night, continuous flow. German horses, 8 hours rest required, regular feeding schedules, constant care. One system scales, one doesn't. The Wehrmacht's supply system collapses under pursuit conditions. They retreat faster than horse-drawn wagons can follow. They abandon trucks for lack of fuel. They slaughter horses for meat as food supplies run out. By September 1944, the German army in France is logistics dead, still has units, still has soldiers, still has some equipment, but cannot supply them. Cannot sustain operations, cannot even conduct organized retreat effectively. American trucks don't just support the advance, they enable it, make it possible, turn tactical victory into strategic collapse of the enemy. Summer 1944. Eastern Front, somewhere in Belarus. Klaus Hartmann still commands a supply column, 3 years older, much more tired. Of the original 240 horses from his 1941 column, 11 are still alive. 11. Out of 240, he's been through over 500 replacement horses. Most lasted weeks, some lasted days. He knows horses now. Knows them better than he knows people. Can tell when a horse is about to collapse, about to panic, about to die. He's tried to keep them alive, has fought for fodder allocation, for veterinary care, for decent harness. Hasn't been enough. July 23, 1944. Soviet artillery barrage hits Hartmann's column on the road. The first shells land ahead of the column. The horses panic. Some rear in their traces. Others try to bolt. Then shells land among the wagons. The sound horses make when they're hit by shrapnel. Hartmann will hear that sound for the rest of his life. Screaming. High-pitched, continuous screaming. Horses thrashing in their harnesses. Blood everywhere. Hartmann runs forward trying to free horses from a burning wagon. Shrapnel catches him in the leg and shoulder. He goes down. Medics pull him out, load him on a wagon heading west. He's evacuated to a field hospital, then further back. His division, what's left of it, is destroyed in the Soviet summer offensive a week later. Most of the horses are killed in action, abandoned during retreat, or slaughtered by starving soldiers. Werner Ziegler, the logistics officer, is captured by Soviet forces in August 1944. During interrogation, a Soviet officer asks him about German logistics. Ziegler is honest. "We lost the war in the stables. Every dead horse was a ton of ammunition that never reached the front. We spent more effort keeping horses alive than keeping soldiers alive. The mathematics never balanced." The Soviet officer nods. The Red Army used horses too, millions of them. But they also had American trucks. Studebakers mostly shipped through Lend-Lease. 400,000 American trucks sent to the Soviet Union. Enough to motorize key units while still using horses for secondary logistics. The Germans had no such luxury. Horses or nothing, and increasingly, nothing. The final accounting. German horse casualties, entire war, estimated 1.5 million dead from all causes. Causes: combat, exhaustion, starvation, cold, disease, neglect. Each dead horse represents lost logistics capacity that takes months to replace and retrain. American truck losses, yes, many destroyed or damaged, but replaceable within weeks, repairable in hours or days, and crucially, no emotional cost. A destroyed truck is a number on a logistics report. A dead horse is a tragedy repeated thousands of times, affecting morale, requiring emotional energy. German soldiers write home about their horses, give them names, mourn them when they die. American soldiers give their trucks names too. But when a truck breaks beyond repair, you get another truck. No grief, no attachment beyond practicality. The philosophical difference. Germans fighting an industrial war with agricultural logistics. Living creatures requiring care, emotion, time. Americans fighting an industrial war with industrial logistics. Machines requiring maintenance, fuel, parts. One system depends on biology. Biology has limits. One system depends on industry. Industry scales. Germany could not build enough trucks to replace horses, could not provide enough fuel for full motorization, could not standardize what trucks they had. The horse-drawn Wehrmacht wasn't a choice. It was a necessity born from industrial inadequacy. But necessity doesn't win wars. Capacity does. Post-war, the myth persists. Books about German Blitzkrieg, films showing Panzer columns, television documentaries featuring mechanized warfare. The horse-drawn reality gets buried. Why? First, German propaganda was effective. Newsreels focused on Panzers and Stukas, never showed supply wagons. The Wehrmacht wanted to project modernity, not agricultural dependence. Second, Allied propaganda emphasized German technological superiority. V-2 rockets, jet aircraft, advanced tanks. Easier to say, we defeated a technologically advanced enemy than we defeated an army using horses. Third, the psychological need for a worthy opponent. Victories mean more if the enemy was formidable. An army dependent on horses seems less formidable, but the numbers don't lie. 1944, Allied invasion of Normandy. Motor transport capacity landed with invasion force, 69,000 tons. German motor transport capacity, defending France, roughly 19,500 tons if that, and declining daily from Allied bombing. American Infantry Division vehicle count, over 2,300. German Infantry Division vehicle count, roughly 600 trucks, 5,000 horses. Industrial production comparison. United States 2.4 million military trucks produced 1940-1945. Germany, approximately 350,000 military trucks of all types, same period. 7-to-1 ratio in production. But infinite to 1 in sustainability? Trucks don't starve, don't freeze, don't get exhausted, don't require emotional care. Trucks enable rapid advance, sustained operations, supply over vast distances. Horses limit speed, require constant feeding, restrict operational range. German POWs interviewed after capture expressed shock at American logistics. One lieutenant captured in France, "We knew you had trucks. We didn't know you had this many trucks." Everywhere we looked, trucks, convoys without end. We could destroy 10, 20, 50 more would come. An older major, veteran of both world wars. In 1918, we lost because we couldn't sustain. In 1945, we lost because we couldn't sustain. Between those wars, we learned tactics and technology. We never learned logistics. A quartermaster captain. You didn't just outfight us, you out-trucked us. Your supply lines never broke. Ours were broken from the beginning. May 7th, 1945, Germany. The war in Europe ends. James Mitchell enters Germany with his unit. Bessie, his GMC truck, shows 287,000 miles on the odometer. Original engine, multiple transmission replacements, new clutch, countless tires, repair work without end, still running, still hauling supplies, still doing the job. Mitchell drives through German countryside and sees the evidence everywhere. Abandoned supply wagons rotting by roadsides. Skeletons of horses in ditches, the ones that died months ago and were never buried. Burned-out German trucks, cannibalized for parts, then abandoned when no parts remained. They fought us with animals, Mitchell tells another driver. We fought them with engines, that's why we're here and they're done. Klaus Hartmann recovers in a hospital in Bavaria when he learns the war is over. He's alive. Many aren't. His division was destroyed. Most of his friends are dead. He thinks about the 500 horses that died under his command. Wonders if he could have saved more. Knows he couldn't have. In his diary, final entry, May 1945. We loved our horses, that was the problem. You can't love a truck into working harder. But you can't kill a truck with exhaustion either. We tried to fight a modern war with medieval means. The equation never balanced. The final accounting, Wehrmacht, 2.7 million horses required, 116,100 tons of fodder per day, assuming all horses in field simultaneously, which they weren't, but shows scale of demand, vulnerable to cold, heat, exhaustion, disease, enemy fire, starvation, inadequate care. Replacement time, months to acquire, ship, train, integrate. Maximum sustained speed, 3 miles per hour in good conditions, less in mud, snow, or rough terrain. Work period, 8 hours per day maximum before requiring rest. Carries emotional weight, soldiers bond with horses, each death affects morale. Americans, 2.4 million trucks required, fuel, pipelinable, mass-produced, spare parts, standardized, interchangeable. Vulnerable to mechanical failure, usually repairable, lack of fuel, solvable through logistics. Replacement time, weeks to ship from United States, days to repair most damage, maximum sustained speed, 45 miles per hour on roads, less off-road, but orders of magnitude faster than horses. Work period, 24 hours per day with driver rotation. Carries no emotional weight, vehicles are equipment. Destroyed trucks are replaced without grief. The truth that emerges from the mathematics, wars are not won by the bravest soldiers, not by the best tactics, not by the most advanced weapons. Wars are won by getting supplies to the right place at the right time, by sustaining operations, by maintaining tempo, by outproducing and outdelivering the enemy. The Germans tried to do this with animals, living creatures from the 19th century, dependent on agriculture, vulnerable to everything. The Americans did it with engines, machines of the 20th century, products of industry, scalable without limit. One system belongs to history. One system built the modern world. There's a photograph from France, 1945, often reproduced in history books, shows a German supply wagon, four-wheeled, wooden-sided, horse-drawn, abandoned beside a road. Next to it, an American GMC truck, also abandoned, out of fuel or broken beyond field repair. Both are relics now, war's detritus. But one represents a technology thousands of years old, reaching its final obsolescence in mechanized warfare. The other represents the logistics system that supplied the largest military operations in human history. Look at that photograph and understand. The Wehrmacht had 300,000 horses in transport roles at peak strength, part of 2.7 million total horses fielded during the war. The Americans had 2.4 million trucks that never tired, never starved, never froze to death in Russian winters. That's not why Germany lost, but it's why Germany could never win. When you fight an industrial war with agricultural logistics, the outcome is predetermined. The only question is how long until the horses die and the wagons stop moving. For Germany, the answer was, not long enough.